love you to warmly welcome Fadi Chehadé and he's giving him a speech. So, welcome him.
Thank you. I won't be long. Thank you.
But you will speak in German, won't you?
I will try. Through my friend Tar. Thank you. Listen, please don't tell the French I attended your evening. I think and the Dutch, whom my good friend, always say, come to the Dutch evening, but I don't typically attend national evenings or, frankly, national IGFs, because it becomes very hard for me, because then people say, why did you go to this IGF, not ours, or this evening? But I came tonight for two reasons. And I accepted willingly, besides the pushing and shoving that Thomas did, because of two reasons. One, because you are now in very leadership positions in ICANN. And a lot of what we're doing right now has people from Germany or German-speaking people leading. So clearly Thomas is right now leading an extremely important effort. The CCWG work is the most central work that all the governments of the world are watching. And his chairmanship has been nothing but spectacular. Really superb. Really, we're very lucky to have him, and I want to thank you for lending him to us, because I know he has other day jobs he needs to attend to. But he is truly a great leader, and we're lucky to have him. And I hope that one day he will consider to have my job, because I think, I mean that. I think he's more than capable to take this job to the next level. He has the qualities for it. And the second reason I came tonight is because Germany did something unique for Germany, but also unique for the world, when you all submitted recently the multi-stakeholder statement. First of all, the content and the substance of that statement was superb. Excellent. I use it when I go meet with other governments, because Germany really made a very clear statement as to its place and its role in this change. And I know technicalities, maybe the statement arrived a few days late or whatever, but the content, the substance was fantastic. And I also know that this was not developed by Hubert or by Thomas it was developed by the multi-stakeholder community of Germany. And that's not common. I don't know how many times Germany has submitted to our process a multi-stakeholder statement. To my knowledge, that's the first time in my tenure. And I thank you for that, because that's an example that multi-stakeholderism is not just a global silly phenomenon invented by Californians who walk without shoes. It's a concept that can be applied nationally. We see it in Brazil through the CGI, and Germany now submitting a document like that is very important. I was asked on the way in the taxi by Thomas to also touch on two other things. In general, the transition, and also the succession of my role at ICANN. Very quickly, just on the transition, I don't want to give you more than you will hear tomorrow morning, but I will walk tomorrow over a very high-level, I would say, plan as to how we're going to finish this transition. And some people think I'm going to leave before the critical parts of the transition are done. I can assure you I will not. The transition, critical parts of it, will be done by next March. They have to be. If they're not, we have bigger problems to deal with, right? Because the US election will start, and then we have a very different environment. The ability of President Obama to veto laws, to do anything, will be hugely reduced after next June. So we have a period of time to get things done, and we will get them done. With the leadership we have in the GAC, with Thomas, and in the CCWG, with Thomas, and with many of you participating actively in this process, we will get there. Let me tell you something that will be announced tomorrow morning, since I hope none of you will leak it tonight. Can I trust you not to leak it tonight? No. No? Impossible.
Turn it off. You check whether somebody's taping. So.
Okay, so I won't mention the specifics because I'll leave it as a news item tomorrow. But I will tell you something geopolitically very important. When I started at ICANN, ICANN was geopolitically very fragile. Very fragile. My first job, on the first month I arrived, was to go to the WICET, the ITU meeting, and everybody told me, oh, everybody wants to take ICANN's job and move it to the UN. And the WICET is where it will happen. We were very fragile. 3 years later, we're in a different place. No one in the ITU is talking about taking over ICANN. ICANN is a respected institution. Can we improve? Of course we can improve. Everybody can improve. But we are a respected institution. And what is important is that the three major economies that could have broken ICANN's work in two, i.e. could have created another internet, Brazil, China, and I'll let you guess who's the third, because that's the surprise for tomorrow. All three of them have now shifted their policy. This is a shift after 20 years of going to the G77 at the UN and trying to pull ICANN into UN. We heard from Brazil first with Dilma Rousseff. We then heard from China at ICANN's meeting last year, and tomorrow you'll hear from the third major economy that for years has pushed for ICANN to become part of the UN. They will publicly announce that after 20 years they will be working in the multi-stakeholder model of ICANN. These are major, major shifts in our transition. All of this requires the US transition, because these governments are doing this with an understanding that Germany, France, China, Brazil have to work with an ICANN that is not controlled by one government, that does not have one government telling us what to do or what not to do. This is essential. And I will tell you a little secret that I will expound on one day when I write a little bit how we did this transition. Germany was very important in getting this transition done. You have a person in your government that I worked very closely with and who I remain friends with, who actually helped me make the case to Washington that even our German friends no longer see this as viable. And Germany is a friend of the US. And it helped me immensely in Washington to explain that. So, that's the transition. The succession is not a problem. You should not worry. I am not ICANN. I'm just an individual. I'm a passing captain, and ICANN will be just fine with you, with all of you continuing to do what you do. We should not be worried. The board has started the succession plan. Today we had a board meeting. The committee was formed. It will be announced Thursday. Everything is moving just fine. I will be around to guide the next CEO as much as I can. I committed to do that as a service to ICANN, not as a job. I will stay as long as needed. So there will be no abrupt transition. There will be a calm transition from this regime to the next regime, from this leader to the next leader. No problem. Also, ICANN has a deep management team, and we have a full succession plan. When I was at IBM, we used to build succession plans 6 layers deep. So if somebody gets hit by a bus, who's the next person? If he's hit by a bus, who's the next person? And we used to design the whole model 6 layers deep. At ICANN, we had no succession plan. We now have a 3-deep succession plan, and it's in place. And the development plans to help employees take off the jobs when I leave, when Tarek leaves, who reports to me as a global leader, when Teresa Swinehart leaves, all of this is in place. So ICANN is steady. And what makes ICANN most steady is to have countries like Germany and Switzerland and Austria and many of you here who have been stalwart stewards of the multi-stakeholder model continue your work. That's the continuity of ICANN. I'm not the continuity of ICANN. So thank you for inviting me. I'm going to scoot back to the hotel because I have more meetings. But thank you for having me here. I'm very happy that I came. Thank you.